program contains graphic images of intense sports injuries that some might find disturbing. Viewer discretion advised. On this episode of Sports Science, the name of the game is pain. We're examining some of the worst injuries in sports.
Oh my gosh.
How did 4'10", 100-pound jockey Julie Crone survive getting trampled by a 1,000-pound racehorse? What hurts more, being hit by a pitch or being hit by a hit? How much force does it take to snap a leg in half? NCAA power fullback Ryan Powdrell breaks it down for us.
I looked down at my ankle and it's turned around the wrong way.
If a hockey skate slits your throat, how much blood can you lose and still live? NHL superstar Clint Malarchuk is here to relive one of the most notorious, unimaginable injuries in the history of sports.
Oh, please take the camera off, but don't even bring it over there, please.
Oh my God.
Mixed martial arts legend Boss Rutan wails away on his favorite instrument, a human organ. Can you really feel someone else's pain? You're about to find out. This is Sports Science, Field Warriors. In this former airplane hangar, we created a one-of-a-kind laboratory. A high-tech facility with one purpose: to analyze the best athletes in the world. The cutting edge of science. The limit of human performance. The science at work in the games we play. This is where sports and science collide. This is Sports Science. The best organ basher on the planet, MMA legend. Sunday, September 24th, 2006. Tampa Bay versus the Carolina Panthers. Quarterback Chris Sims has taken hit after hit and is clearly in pain.
In between plays, he's hands on his knees, his head is down.
But Sims somehow engineers a fourth quarter comeback that will be remembered in Tampa Bay for years to come. It was only after the game and in the hospital that doctors discover that Sims has suffered a dangerous and potentially life-threatening injury, a ruptured spleen. So the question is, how much force does it take to rupture a spleen? And how did Chris Sims continue to play while suffering from internal bleeding? To find out, the sports science team begins with the creation of a biofidelic dummy, an anatomically correct torso containing realistic synthetic organs. But the spleen we're adding isn't synthetic. It's a real spleen. A real pig spleen. Turns out a pig spleen and a human spleen are very similar in size, weight, and function. A spleen acts as a filter against foreign organisms that infect the bloodstream. It rejuvenates old blood cells via the splenic artery, supplying blood to organs throughout the abdominal cavity. With such a significant volume of blood coursing through this organ at any one time, rupturing the spleen can be catastrophic.
A ruptured spleen is extremely dangerous because the spleen is a very vascular part of your body. It gets blood in, it filters it, it takes blood out. So a laceration to that, especially a large laceration, can bleed out in a very short period of time.
Now that we have a stand-in for Chris Sims and his spleen, we need to replicate the punishing impacts he suffered during the game. So we brought in the best organ basher on the planet, MMA legend Boss Rutan. Boss's punches have been measured at over 1,200 pounds of force, roughly the same amount of force as getting crushed by All-Pro linebacker Joey Porter. One of Boss's punches will be equivalent to any one of the numerous punishing hits Chris Sims suffered that day.
I'm Boss Rutan, and I'm a professional spleen buster.
Boss Rutan, thank you so much for coming in and helping us out here.
Hey, no problem.
We're gonna bust a spleen.
I love it.
Have you ever destroyed someone's vital organ?
Yes, actually I did. I broke somebody's liver one time. That's the left hook to the body that's located right here.
To show how vulnerable Chris Sims' spleen was the day he went down, Boss has agreed to attempt to rupture our surrogate organ.
What kind of punch are you gonna be doing?
It's not an uppercut. It's not going to be a straight. It's not going to be a hook. It's going to be all of the above. That's the best way to dig it in. Normally, they give a hook to the spleen. I don't do this. Because if somebody pulls himself away, I miss right away. So I kind of stab it in. That's, I think, the best way to hurt somebody there on the spleen, solar plexus, or the liver.
Sims got hit dozens of times in the game, but Boss only gets one shot.
Ooh, he's bleeding.
Nasty. On the inside.
He's bleeding badly. Let's peel this back and look at it. This is the moment that we've really been waiting for. We want to see what happened to the spleen. That is disgusting.
And you're touching it.
Boss's punch measures at over 1,300 pounds of force. Team physicians couldn't pinpoint which hit caused Chris Sims' spleen to rupture. But our scientists estimate this hit comes closest to generating the same force as Boss Rutan's punch. So how did Sims survive this devastating injury? Our cutting-edge animation gives us an inside look into the science of a ruptured spleen. A direct blow to the left side of the abdomen can bruise or tear the spleen. Because of the abundant blood supply, splenic trauma leads to serious internal bleeding, with the entire abdominal cavity eventually filling with blood. One thing that was working in Chris Sims' favor was that he was bleeding fairly slowly, losing blood at the rate of about 4 drops every second. At that rate, in 2.5 hours, he lost 5 pints of blood, which doesn't sound like much, but 5 pints is more than half a gallon. That's over half of all the blood in the human body. About 12 hours after the game ended, Chris Sims no longer had a spleen. Doctors removed it. But it shouldn't affect his quality of life.
The complications of that for him will be relatively few. He will have to take some precautions in terms of certain bugs that the spleen would normally kill. Other than that, his immune system will function well after regular monitoring.
Because of injuries like Chris's, more and more quarterbacks are wearing protective flak jackets, and team physicians around the league continue to learn more about diagnosing injuries during games.
Can I write a letter to that pig later that I'm happy that he donated his spleen?
Next on Sports Science, how much force does it take to snap a human bone? This NCAA power fullback breaks down the day he got bent out of shape.
I believe that Powdrell is hurt.
And later, what happens when cold steel meets warm flesh? We'll analyze one of the worst injuries in all of sports. That's coming up on Sports Science, Field Warriors. Warning, the following segment contains graphic footage. Viewer discretion advised. September 16th, 2006. Nebraska versus USC. Everyone in the LA Coliseum was pumped up for the game. Everyone except this guy. 250-pound USC fullback, Ryan Powdrell.
leading up to the game, I had like a weird feeling. Like, I don't know what kind, when you have that feeling something bad is going to happen.
As a fullback, Ryan was used mostly as a blocker. But late in the first quarter, the Trojans called his number.
Cowdrell the call, left side.
So I was trying to, take it outside. And the defensive end grabbed me from behind. Just, yanked back with my foot underneath. And then my ankle snapped.
Cowdrell is hurt. He got his leg caught in the pile, got spun around, but it just didn't look good.
I just remember someone on the field